Hello, everyone. It's Sia from Heal Love Now. And today I'd like to talk to you about starting your own business. As a woman entrepreneur, it's been incredibly liberating for me to have created a business based on my passion and to have my own authority as the boss of my life. It's been monumental in giving me the kind of life that I'm absolutely in love with. And so I'd like to share with you how I did that so that you can do it too. I, for many years, worked as a fashion model. And this was after I actually got my degree in psychology. So I started as a model quite late. Most of my peers were in their teens, and I was in my late 20s. So this was a time of a lot of travel, a lot of um, interaction with people from different walks of life, a lot of stretching of my container as far as what I saw myself capable of doing, what I saw myself interested in doing. I had been quite a cerebral sort of brainiac, almost a nerd before I started modeling. So it brought out a different side of my femininity. It brought out my sort of um, dark feminine energy that I hadn't really utilized before. I was very quiet, very soft spoken, before I started modeling. I was very modest. I wasn't very fashionable. I dressed like a boy most of the time. And I had really short hair and I didn't wear makeup. I wasn't interested in any kind of um, sort of embellishment. I was very, very natural. I just believed that the more basic you are, the um, more able you are to focus on those things that matter. So modeling was the opposite. It was so flamboyant. They were putting all these haute couture clothes on me. I went to Paris and worked for Yves Saint Laurent and Kenzo and Issey Miyake, Sonia Rykiel. It was so different from my academic, cerebral, natural um, sort of self. It was an alter ego where I was on the runway and I was walking like a diva, wearing all this makeup. Um, they were doing my hair. Oftentimes they put wigs on me. So it was totally different from what I had been used to. And I did that for a while. And what it sort of um, created in me was an understanding of what I don't want to do. I really um, confirmed for myself that being natural, being organic, being simple were actually more in line with my values. So I segued out of modeling and got into natural self care. And I started a holistic um, skincare brand because I used to have really bad skin when I was modeling, which was also um, a whole nother level of dealing with feelings of lack of self worth, dealing with superficial fashion people, and just dealing with having to be judged by your physicality and not being perfect. So we all deal with that in different ways. And most people don't think that models have to experience that because they just think we're models, so it's all good. But models are some of the most insecure uh, women on the planet, and it's because we are judged by our physicality, and physicality is never perfect. So if the whole standard of the modeling industry is quite skewed toward perfection, and you're retouched and you're made up and everything's made to look perfect, but we're all human, so none of us are perfect, and whatever flaws you have will be accentuated when you're in a superficial career like modeling. But anyway, I kind of got off point. But so I got out of modeling and I got into taking care of my inner body to find out why I was having such bad skin. And I started making these skincare products out of all natural ingredients that I researched when I was traveling around the world, particularly when I lived in Africa or when I worked in South Africa. I studied with a herbalist, a sangoma, and learned about different herbs and methods of healing that will beautify your skin from the inside out. And so that skincare line segued into me just getting into my creative side and my artistic side. I fell into a sort of relationship slash partnership with an art dealer in Nigeria, and I started doing children's art projects. Um, excuse me. I started doing I started doing children's art workshops with marginalized children in Africa, and that got me into um, working in an art gallery, working with contemporary art, um, applying the creative tendencies that I have as a painter and a potter and a writer to teaching youth how to be creative themselves and holding the space for them to express themselves creatively. So I did that for some years in Nigeria. And then I got an offer to run an organic market. And this was a place that was right next to the American International School in Lagos, Nigeria, which is a bustling community of expatriates and just educators and creatives who are sort of under the umbrella of the American government within Nigeria. So it's kind of like living in America, but in Nigeria, an enclave. And the shop that I was offered to run was right next to that enclave. And I brought in all my passions there. I sold African fashion, I sold African goods, um, artisanal goods. I sold African art. I linked in with other creatives and entrepreneurs who were making different items, who were making uh, fresh juices or baking cookies or uh, designing head wraps, um, making jewelry, and created like a dynamic boutique art gallery environment that was quite successful. And then I unexpectedly had to give up the business and leave the country due to some very unexpected series of unfortunate events that I won't get into in this video. But if you read my novel, you will um, get some insight into that because I create a whole story that is based in a lot of fact and truth, though it's fictional. Um, and I'll put the link to my novel if you want to buy it and read it in the comments of the video. So I had to leave that shop and leave that um, business baby. And it was really hard for me to do. And I took some time off and I went to Europe. I kind of like did some inner work and self healing and purging of the issues within me that were presenting a barrier to me fully expressing and implementing my dream um, entrepreneurial journey. And then after a year of being in Europe and also in North Africa, pampering myself, just healing myself, I ended up back in my hometown where I grew up, a place I never thought I would want to purposefully be, and found out that this was actually the utopia that I've been looking for, with the perfect environment for me to create my ideal business. And it happened very quickly and without planning, without real um, capital, without any kind of structured business model. It was really from my heart. I started as um, a 1 day pop up at an incubator space for small businesses. They had an event and they needed vendors to just come in for the event. And I happened to be walking by one of the shops in this incubator space. And it was this beautiful African woman who was selling clothing that she made on the spot. She had her sewing machines and her fabrics and different patches and embroidery that she would put on, custom made. And I thought it was so beautiful and so um, inspiring. And we just got to chatting. I bought some things from her, and one thing led to another. And I ended up signing on as a vendor for the event that she was um, spearheading. And it was a welcome to Wakanda event. So she needed African oriented, inspired products and vendors. And because I had traveled extensively throughout West Africa and South Africa and North Africa and Ethiopia, East Africa, I had all these beautiful things that I had collected and brought back. And also in my work at the gallery in Nigeria, my partner had stored, loaded up all this art when he came and visited me and went back to Nigeria and left all the art. So I had all this art, contemporary African art, rolled up in canvases in my flat, just being stored. So I thought, wow, let me bring um, stuff that I have to this pop up and just see how people respond. I knew it was beautiful. I knew it was significant and special, but I had no idea that it was a perfect driver for my ideal business. And I thought it would just be one day, but 7 years later, with multi locations all over the area, uh, real estate that I've been able to acquire, and a community of supporters, clients, friends of the house, colleagues have sprouted up around this business that got created from my healed inner self, aligned with my passionate vision for what I love, and all these items that were kind of like hidden in storage. I'm going to post some pictures of the early days of my business because I was literally a pop up. And that one day turned into 1 month, then it turned into 3 months, then it turned into an offer to actually move into a storefront within this incubator space. And then within a year, I had my own location, then two other locations. It's been mushrooming since that one day, mainly out of my own feminine energy and love for the beauty and the authenticity and depth of the commerce. So I always felt like I wasn't selling things, I was selling energy and exchanging energy more so. That people don't really buy things, they buy into your heart, your vision, your passion. And so, as long as I was spreading that energy of love of what I do and love of the items that I'm selling, sales were off the charts. And that is why I was able to do this business with no capital and no business plan. The business plan was like my heart centered delivery and offering and presentation. And people bought into that. And I remember in the beginning, I had someone tell me that no one here is going to buy African art. You're in the southern United States. No one is interested in African art to the extent that you can sustain a business. And that was false. That was completely untrue. My business was driven almost entirely by the support from my customers. The money came in and I put it back into the business. And I started ordering more art and artifacts from my contacts on the continent. And it just continued to snowball and skyrocket. And so I'm telling you this to let you know that you can create a significant, profitable, thriving business, that you're happy in, that you're overjoyed in, that you love to do without anything but your heart and whatever you have on hand. This is a significant um, point that I want you to take within you deeply, that whatever you have that you're passionate about doing, this can be the driver for your ideal business. It happened for me, and I got to a point where I was able to sell art to movie studios out in LA, and we actually won an Emmy on the um, the Disney production that showcased our art on the film set. So it's compelling, the levels of success and accomplishment that can come from just a small little act of following your bliss and um, bringing your passion to life, activating your inner creativity, and jumping in sort of the deep end or the unknown, even if you have a little bit of fear, but going in all in and allowing for the rewards to present themselves. So that's my story of starting my business, my small business that has become not so small. And I would like you to take this opportunity to ask yourself, what do I want to do? What do I have that's in storage? What are my past experiences that have shaped who I know I want to be and who I know I don't want to be? And how can I apply that to creating my dream business? When you do that, you not only create a stream of bounty for yourself, but you bless other people. There's so many people that I've come into contact with through the 7 years of my business here in my hometown. Um, so many sparks that have gone out from my business that have helped other women and men. Um, so many people have been nurtured and blessed by what I put forward as my offering that have allowed them to create and to give forth their offering. So it's a wonderful domino effect that happens when you do what you love and you put it out there. So I wanted to share that with you today, and I really appreciate you joining me on sort of my recap of my own journey. And I look forward to what you are going to bring to the table. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.